Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we have something different planned. Instead of my usual scripted content, what I intend to do today is to walk us through an example of character creation in the system Worlds Without Number. Now the reason for this is twofold. One, I'm new to Worlds Without Number, and I think it's really cool. Two, I'm planning on running a Worlds Without Number game in the very near future. If you are interested in playing in that, you can. Links to my Start Playing page will be in the description of this video. If you're watching this in the next couple of weeks, then it's probably still open, and you're welcome to join us. So today, we are going to be playing, or making a character for Worlds Without Number. Now, Worlds Without Number is a sort of OSR-adjacent TTRPG that has some modern character building sensibilities layered on top of a very sandbox-focused OSR adjacent mindset. It is related to the game Stars Without Numbers, which is older and you've maybe heard of, which is for science fiction. I have played in a Stars Without Number campaign that I found a lot of fun with and I really enjoyed. I have not run any of the Without Number games. There's also Cities Without Number for Cyberpunk, although I know very little about it other than that it exists. Worlds Without Number is the fantasy version of the Without Number series of games. So we're going to make a character, and I am going to go about this with no preconception. You know, you can absolutely come in with a character in mind and through the options presented, build the character that you're looking to create. But the game rewards being open to trusting the dice. And we'll talk about how it does that as we go. Let's move me out of the way. I'll step over here to the side. I'll show where we're working. I currently have displayed a blank Foundry page, and we're going to create a character. So let me create a new actor. We're just going to name him Test, because I don't have a name for him yet, and pop out a blank character sheet. Alrighty then. So, let's look at the summary of character creation. First step is to determine our attributes. There are two ways that we can go about this. We can roll 3d6 6 times. We can do 3d6 down the line, or we can use this standard array. If we roll randomly, we get an additional benefit that we can replace one of the attributes of our choice with a 14. So if you want to make someone using the standard array, which is 14, 12, 11, 10, 9, and 7, you can absolutely do that. And your character will be fine. 14 means that you'll have a +1. The 7 will mean you'll have a -1. Everything else will be flat zeros, with some realm for improving stats as it goes on. As you level up, you can spend skill points to increase your attribute. So you will be fine. You'll be able to build sort of any character you can imagine. But if you roll 3d6, that opens up the possibility of having extreme numbers, having multiple good scores, because remember, you get to replace a score with a 14, which you might use to shore up a weakness. Oh, I rolled a 3 con. No, I'm going to put my 14 there. Or a double down on being good at something. Like, okay, I rolled a good strength, my con's a little low, so I'm going to put 14 there. Or whatever you might want to do. I have no concept in mind for who this character is going to be. We are leaving it up to the oracular dice. So let me go over here and roll 3d6 down the line. That is a 7 strength. That's starting us off pretty low. Let's see, we got a 16 dexterity. Oh, that's interesting. An 11 con, a 12 intelligence, a 5 wisdom, we are not very wise, and a 10 charisma. Okay, let's consider what we do with this sort of array. Also, let me see if I can zoom in on maybe you, our viewers at home, can see the sheet a little clearer. All right, so our character's got low strength, high dexterity. Dexterity affects many of the same things you would expect it to in in any D&D game. So that's our ability to sneak. That's our ability to shoot with ranged weaponry. It also affects, let's see, looking at the skill list, it also affects our riding skill. Okay, so we have we have a character with potential to be a really good archer, or a really good sneak. Okay. We could do some different things with this. We could make them kind of a assassin kind of guy, or we could do like a thief, or and remember we do have our 14, so we could put that free 14 in really anything we wanted. If we put it in strength, then we'd have a guy who's both strong and dexterous and make a very versatile sort of fighter type. We could put it in con, just because everyone benefits from more constitution. More hit points is always more good. We could put it in intelligence if we wanted to be a wizard. This could definitely be a fully functional magic use of some sort. Put it in intelligence and away to the races. Or we could put that 14 in wisdom, just to make up for not being very wise. Replace that -1 with a +1, which would affect us, which would give us +1 in surviving, which is for hunting, fishing, navigating, etc. And also affects prayer and notice. So if we put our free 14 in wisdom with that dexterity, we could make someone who's more like a traditional ranger type. Outdoorsy, good with a bow. Not very good with a sword, but good with a bow. That's an idea. I'm not set yet. Let's move on for now. We'll come back and we'll decide what to do with that 14. The next thing we have to do, pick our background. Now, our background is what we were doing before we were an adventurer, our parents' trade. You can think of it in all sorts of ways. It's what we are when we're not being a warrior or an expert or a magic user. Now, the book provides 20 example backgrounds, but encourages you to create your own with the GM, or as a game master, you can certainly create your own set of backgrounds for your own setting. The book encourages you to do this. For today, we're just going to be using the default list of 20 backgrounds: artisan, barbarian, carter, courtesan, criminal, hunter, laborer, merchant, noble, nomad, peasant, performer, physician, priest, sailor, scholar, slave, soldier, thug, wanderer. I don't know why I read them all out, but I did. If we had a concept in mind, like if I knew I wanted to do that ranger character I was talking about, we could go and we could pick maybe nomad as our background, or hunter as our background. I'm not really sure what I want to play yet. I'm really flexible on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll a random background and then sort of combine that background with our rolled stats to let the dice tell us what it is that we are. So let me go back over and I roll 1d20 for a random background. I get a 14. 14 is a priest. Huh, okay, that is a surprising result. So our character was a priest before becoming interesting. So I am starting to think that maybe we do want to put that 14 in wisdom. But we don't necessarily have to be a wise priest. We could have been more of a charlatan, maybe. We could maybe put it in charisma. Oh, that would be an interesting idea. Maybe they're not very wise, but they're very good at using their priestly status to make themselves look good. That's a concept we could go with. They're still dexterous, so maybe like an expert character who is like the 14 in charisma, and then we kind of get like a charming rogue type who plays being a priest. That's an idea. Let's look at what priest gives us precisely. So we go down every background you'll see. Well, let me scroll down to the priest first. So we have the and let me zoom that in. So every background looks something like this. You've got the name, you've got the description of what a priest is. Priests run a wide gambit in this world. Some live as moral exemplars for their flock, teaching them the ethical demands of their religion and encouraging them in their faith. Others are simple spiritual technicians, performing rituals to propitiate and coax their god with no concern for anything but the correct execution of the rite and timely recipient of payment. Adventuring priests often tend more towards the latter, assisting their companions with their prayers and expertise in handling people. A few priests even have magical powers, either given to them by their deity or learned as part of their youthful training, but not necessarily. They're not necessarily a cleric. So as a and then every every background has a free skill that we get, and then a growth table and a learning table. The quick skills are recommendations for the choices that we're going to make. We do not need to follow them. So let's go ahead and add that we have Praise 0. To add a skill on the Foundry, we have to click the Unlock button, and then we go to the skill in question, and we click Edit. We change the level. If we have unspent character points, then we can use the up arrow to spend. But we don't have skill points yet because we're still in character creation. So we go lock, unlock, edit, and change the level directly. You can also change the attribute and skill dice associated with it if we are using unusual roll. Okay, so we get Pray for free. Let's read what the description of the Pray skill is. Because by default, I don't believe that there is clerical magic in the setting. Pray. Perform the clerical rites of your religion and be familiar with the gods, demons, and taboos of major and minor faiths. So it's also our knowledge skill for religion. Identify iconography and persons of religious importance. Pray also helps you know the state of local faiths and the important persons in their hierarchies. So this is sort of our religious knowledge skill, but also is used if we need to make a roll for performing a religious ritual. It's probably more something that we shouldn't roll, but that we would simply be able to, you know how to perform a marriage or whatever is appropriate for your tradition. Okay. When you are creating a character, when you get to your background, you have a choice. You can either pick 2 skills from the learning table. If you go from the learning table, you will get 2 things of your choice. If you choose this, you get 2 things of your choice. So if you're building a specific character, like I'm playing a barbarian, I need a combat, I need stab, so you can make sure you get exactly what you want. Alternatively, you can choose to roll. If you roll, though, you get 3 dice to roll that you can divide up between the growth and the learning table. So if you choose to roll, you'll get more points effectively, but it will be random. If I choose to roll, I will roll a d8 on that learning table, and I might get heal, I might get administer, I might get anything else on that table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll, and I'm still kind of looking out for who this character is. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll twice on the learning table, and then maybe once on the growth table. So yeah, let's start with that. Let's roll 1d8 for the learning table, and then again. All right, I got a 6 and a 3. 6 for a priest is convince, and was a 3 is no. Okay, so let's add those. Okay, so we've added convince and no both at level 0. So I'm now getting a mental image of this character. I think this character is sort of talky priest expert. I think that they don't have any actual powers, but I think that they are good at being charming, and I think that they are good at tricking people. So I'm gonna put that free 14 that we have in our charisma. That's gonna give us a +1 charisma. So now we are even more convincing than we were before. We're good at persuading people to see things our way. More so than we're good at, actually being a good priest. And of course we have a 0 intelligence, and so we know things. We're educated. We have a background. We know about the world and about people. We know a bit about religion. Enough to get by. And then we get one more roll. We can choose to roll on the growth table or the learning table. Now, if we roll on the growth table, we could improve a stat. We can improve 1 gives us any any stat that we want, +1. A 2 or a 4 gives us +2 to our mental stats. That's intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. A 3 would give us +2 to a physical stat, strength, dexterity, or constitution. I believe you're allowed to split those up, so you can do one in strength and one in constitution. I'm not sure on that. If you're building your own character and you want to do that, check the rolls. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then 5, we get the connect skill, and 6, we get any. I wouldn't mind the connect skill. I think that would be appropriate for our character. Because let's sort of look at the difference between connect and convince. So convince is persuade a listener that something you're saying is true. Naturally, the more implausible the claim or more emotionally repugnant it is to them, the more difficult it is to persuade them. Furthermore, how they act on their newfound conviction is up to them and their motivations. Whereas connect is the skill of finding or knowing people who are useful to your purpose. Make friendships or social acquaintances. Know who to talk to get favors or services. Call on the help of resources for organizations you belong to. Connect covers your ability to find the people you need. Through convincing them to help you may require more than that. So convince is sort of your persuasion, whereas connect is more generally like finding useful people in like a city or something like that, or in a village. So I wouldn't mind having that. I think connect would be a very appropriate skill for this particular priest. So I wouldn't mind that result. That, of course, also is on our learning table if we get a 2. And I wouldn't mind rolling 6 and getting another level of convince either. I don't really want more prey, which is the most likely result of the learning table, having 2 different results on it. But really anything else would be fine. Or if we roll in the growth table, let's look at our stats. Are there any stats that would be bumped up if we roll, that would be bumped up a modifier? So if we got a +1 physical, if we got physical stats, could get our strength from a -1 to a 0, which might be worthwhile. Not being a weakling would be good. If we got +2 mental, that would let us take our intelligence to a 14. That would give us another +1. We'd be even better at knowing things. I kind of like that idea. We can't really save this wisdom, I'm afraid. There's really nothing we could do there unless we're to get, if we were to bump it up to 7 and then spend skill points in the future to get it to an 8, could do that. But I think that we're just accepting this guy's not gonna rise. Yeah. Oh, and of course, if we get +2 physical, we could just take that dexterity to 18, and then suddenly we're like a really dexterous priest, and that's a little weird, but I like it. I like the idea. We could kind of be naturally quite sneaky. Man, we'd want to probably put some points into the stealth skill at some point. Maybe be like, I think sneak includes like picking pockets. It does. Okay, so that would be really interesting. Okay, I'm liking some of the possible results from the growth table. So we're going to roll a d6 on the growth table for our last bit from our background. 1d6, 2 is a 2. 2 is +2 mental. Okay, well, we don't get that 18 dexterity, but we do get +2 mental. I'm going to put that in intelligence, because that'll give us another +1. And that will take our intelligence to 14. And then we get another +1. All right, very good. So that is what we get from our background. Let's continue on with the process. I believe the next thing we have to do is choose our class. Now, I've been talking about this, and I know exactly what class we're going to go to. But let's look through the classes in Worlds Without Number there's 4+. It's kind of the fourth option is kind of weird. So first option, expert. Expert is the skill class. You get kind of middle of the road hit points. You get kind of middle of the road attack bonuses, and you get 2 class abilities. Masterful expertise. Once per scene, you can re-roll any non-combat skill check. So you can't use it to re-roll shooting someone, but you can re-roll it a stealth check, a convince check, a connect check once per scene. This is really powerful. The re-roll, a re-roll is obviously really great at saving, like, you know, a roll that you should have been able to make, but you rolled a 2 on the T6. It's mathematically, I'm not going to go through the math right now, but mathematically, it vastly improves your chances of success on any skill check being able to re-roll. And you can use it all the time. It's once per scene. A scene is somewhat vaguely defined, but if you're in a dungeon crawl, you can think of a scene as being like a dungeon turn. If you're in a combat, combat is one scene. If you're outside of combat and you're like exploring, you're not really in dungeon turns, in the city or whatever, a scene is, well, like a scene. If you would call it a scene in a movie, in the movie version of your plot, then that's a scene. So talking to the blacksmith, that's a scene. Going to the castle and trying to get in past the guards, that's a scene. Talking to the king afterwards, that's a new scene. So it's really strong. The second one is you get Quick Learner. Whenever you advance a character level, you gain extra skill points. So, you gain 1 extra skill point, which they are limited in that you can only spend them on non-combat skills or raising your attributes. But yeah, so that's not a very big restriction. You'll still have your normal skill points for putting into stab and shoot, your combat stuff. And so if you're an expert, basically you get more skills because you get those bonus skill points and you're better at those skills. If an expert and a warrior both have a +2 on convincing someone, the expert, that re-roll them better. So experts, very good at skills, very good at non-combat stuff. Next, of course, we have mage. Mages are kind of funky. They get, they have the lowest hit points. They have the worst base attack bonus progression. They do not get an extra focus at level 1, but instead they get spellcasting. Spellcasting is pretty powerful, but we're not going to go into that at this time, because that would be a whole other video. Maybe I'll do another one of these where we make a mage. Then warrior. Warrior is the third core class. You get the best hit points. You get D6 +2 instead of a flat D6 as the expert. You've got the best base attack bonus progression, just equal to your level, and you get a warrior focus, experts or skill focus, in addition to the 1 focus. We'll talk about foci when we. And then as a warrior, you have 2 class abilities. Again, Killing Blow, which just increases the damage that you do. Whenever a warrior inflicts damage with any attack, spell, or special ability, they add half their character level rounded up to the damage done. This also adds to shock, which is, we're not doing a combat, but that's very good. So a high-level warrior will just kill low-level opponents just automatically and do a lot more damage to higher hit dice creatures. Basically adding half their level to every bit of damage they do. That's going to add up a lot, especially after, when they get to like mid to high levels. The other ability they have is Veteran's Luck, which makes them both deadlier and on top of Killing Blow, and more survivable than any other class. Veteran's Luck is what makes a warrior good at combat, in addition to all the other things I said. Once per scene, similar, so the same refresh as the expert's ability, a warrior can turn a missed attack into a hit. So you roll your dice, you roll the 1, you missed the bad guy, boom, you can use Veteran's Luck, turn that into a hit. This can be very powerful when combined with a snap attack, which again, we're not doing a combat tutorial right now, but that lets you act outside of your normal initiative, making a snap attack. You have to use your future attack, and you take a penalty to do it, but it lets you act outside of your initiative. This can be really strong for interrupting enemy spellcasters. So a veteran with a ranged weapon can make a snap attack. If they miss, they can make it into a hit. They can interrupt an enemy spellcaster, which could save the party. The other alternative use of Veteran's Luck is once per scene, you can force a miss on you. So if you get shot, someone rolls a critical hit, you get hit, you're going to die. They rolled, they hit you with a ballista. You're really screwed. You can, once per scene, ensure that they missed. This can be really good if you're surprised. Surprise is, of course, very deadly. This is an old school system. If you get surprised, you might just die before you get a chance to respond. Veteran's Luck gives you that little bit of plot armor. First hit against you in any combat, you can just negate it. I played a warrior I saw some players play warrior characters in my Stars Without Number game that I played in, and Veteran's Luck, they pretty much exclusively used it defensively because laser weapons did a lot of damage. So it was basically just the first time you got shot, you didn't get shot. Ability. Really good, really strong. Warriors, super cool. And then the last choice is an adventurer. An adventurer is sort of a catch-all term for building your own class out of a combination. So you can be a partial expert, partial warrior, and we have rules here for how you sort of mesh those two together. You get the better hit dice, you get like an attack bonus that's halfway between the expert and the warrior. So you start out at +1, same as the warrior, but you tap out at 7 instead of 10 at level 10. You get more foci. That's a bonus. Or you could be a partial expert or partial warrior and a partial mage, which will mean you'll have. It sort of makes you like to a half caster in D&D terms. So you can be a partial mage, partial warrior, kind of get some gish action going on. Again, you've got the better than a mage but less than a warrior attack bonus. You got the warrior hit dice, and you get spell casting, although you have less spells and slower progression than a full mage would have. There are also some partial mage traditions that are more not spellcasting focused that you can take, such as the healer and the vowed. A healer combined with a warrior might give you something that plays more like a paladin sort of character, where you're a good warrior, but you also have like healing hands. And vowed is more for like if you want to be a monk. It gives you some magically aided physical ability. And there are other partial mages as well. In the deluxe version of the rules, I believe they're only in the deluxe version, there is the Beastmaster, which gives a pet. And the Shapeshifter, if you want to do some werewolf or a druid sort of character. I haven't read that one very closely, but I know it exists. And there are a few others that exist. So these are the classes that exist. 4+, depending on how you want to count the adventurer. For this character, I'm going with an expert. And we're making a very social sort of character. So, let's add that. Class, expert. We are level 1. Our hit die is a d6. And we can go ahead and... Where do we put our hitness? Oh, there we go. Hit points are right here on the top. Let's go ahead and roll our hit die. Nice. Okay, we rolled a 6, so we get... Love to see the maximum hit point roll. Lucky there. Could have been a 1. Okay, and let us add our abilities. Okay, so on the details page, I've added our masterful expertise and our quick learner class. Our attack bonus is 0, so no need to do anything with that. And now we are into, I believe, foci. Let's go back to the character creation summary. Yes, so now we get to choose 2 foci. 1 foci every character gets. Regardless of what class you choose, you get 1 free pick foci. It can be anything you want. Depending on your class, you may get to choose a second focus. If you're a expert or a partial expert, you get 1 focus which has to be skill based, something related to skills and not combat. If you are a warrior or a partial warrior, you get a combat related. So our first one is a free pick. It can be anything we want. We can be, if we want to have whirlwind attack focus, I believe that's one, something like it, we are allowed to take that. But obviously we're going to try and choose one that is relevant to our character. So let's look at our skill based one first. Obviously our character is our concept is sort of charlatan priest. So let's see if what focus exists that might be good for us. Here's one that sticks out at me. Cultured. Through wide travel, careful observation, or extensive study, you've obtained wide experience of the cultures of your region and an ability to navigate their customs, laws, and language. You know what to do and what to say to impress others with the reasonableness of your wishes. Okay, our character, maybe he's been a traveling priest, that would work into him being an adventurer now. You gain connect as a bonus skill, so we would go from, we would have our 0 in connect, which we talked about earlier, something we would want. And it gives us fluency in all common languages of our region, and some ability in more uncommon or esoteric language. And we can learn a new language in only 1 week's time. Once per game day, your polished ways automatically gain a minor favor from an NPC that would not put them in significant expense or risk, assuming that the NPC isn't hostile to you. So this would be a really good thing for our priest to have, I think. Gives us connect, which we want, and gives us all the languages. So our characters are supposed to be good at talking. This guarantees that the GM isn't going to pull like, oh, you don't speak Goblin on us. If there are goblins in the area, we speak Goblin, and we get that once per day minor favor. That is that would be good for us. I would want to talk to the GM and like know about languages. If the GM isn't really if the GM's planning on having everyone just speak common and not worry about languages, this becomes a lot less useful. But that's an idea. Connected would also be a good focus for us to have. You're remarkably gifted at making friends, forging ties with people around you. That's our concept. You gain connect as a bonus skill. And if you've spent at least a week in a non-entirely hostile location, you automatically build a web of contacts willing to do favors for you that are no more than mildly illegal. You can call in one favor per game day. The GM decides how far they'll go for you. I had a character, my ship captain in the Stars Without Numbers game had this, and it was moderately useful. It was good to be able to like create an NPC and be like, hey, we've got some illegal goods to get to sell. I need someone who's okay with doing a little bit of sketchy buying. We'd been in port for a week. I knew a guy. Very useful. And I think this could be very useful for our charlatan mage, charlatan priest. So, deal maker would be interesting if we want to be more merchant focused. If we want to like kind of be like, well, I was a priest, now I'm sort of becoming more of a merchant, and I want to focus on that. But I would think henchkeeper might be good for us as well. Gives us lead as a bonus skill, and basically, if we arrive in an area within 24 hours. We have a couple of henchmen. Now, these henchmen are not necessarily warriors, they're not going to fight for us, but they'll, people willing to help us out. Again, we're a priest, right? Show up into town, we get some guys who aren't too bright, don't really realize we're not a very good priest, end up doing us favors, helping us out, going on our adventures and carrying our torches. If we eventually get this focus to level 2, we can actually get better henchmen. Remarkably loyal, determined, will fight for us. Treating them as the veteran soldier from the bestiary. Faithful, skilled henchmen. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. Because we're not a fighter, remember. We're an expert. We need some people to be the muscle for. We're an okay shot, I guess. Well, not really, because we're defaulting on shoot. So we're not, even though we have that dex, it's not really doing us a lot of good. So we could put both of our foci into henchmen, into henchkeeper, and start off with some really good henchmen. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. Another option, diplomatic grace. This gives us convince as a bonus skill, so our convince would go from a 0 to a 1, and we speak all the languages common to your region of the world. Again, we can get new ones up to a workable level in a week. Again, that's similar to the one we were looking at before. And we re-roll ones on any skill check dice related to negotiation or diplomacy. We're going to be probably most of our convince checks in an adventuring context, right? We're going to be negotiating with monsters or doing some diplomacy, trying to get people to do what we want without fighting them. So diplomatic grace would be really good. We get to reroll ones, and then if that's still not enough, then we still have our expert skill to fall back on. We become super reliable at succeeding on those convince. I like it a lot. Polymath would be an alright one for us as well. Gives us any one skill as a bonus skill, and we treat all non-combat skills as if they were at least level 0 for purposes of skill check, which would mean that we are a little bit good at kind of everything. And with our pretty decent stats outside of wisdom, that is pretty good. That's just a good focus. We're limited to experts and partial experts, but we qualify. Oh, also, I didn't mention this before, but if we wanted to be non-human, if we wanted to be an elf or a dwarf or something like that, we could choose to do that at this time in the character process. By spending our free focus on our ancestry, we can be a dwarf or an elf or whatever exists in our GM setting, if the GM will. The last one to consider would be specialist. Specialist makes us remarkably talented with one particular skill. So if you could make it your stealth skill and be a really stealthy cat burglar, your exert skill if you're like an athlete, know if you're a brilliant scholar, etc. I had a navigator in my Stars Without Number campaign that I played in who had this for their navigations. You gain a skill you gain a bonus skill. It can't be magic, stab, shoot, or punch. Basically non-combat and non-magic. And whenever you make a skill roll, instead of rolling 2d6, you roll 3d6, drop the low die. Basically, kind of like rolling with advantage. So you roll 3d6, you drop the low die, so you're still on the same, realm of possibility, still the same possibility space, but are much more likely to get a higher result. If you take 2 levels of this, you get a 4d6, drop the 2 lowest die, making you even more reliable. So we could do specialist and convince as one of our skill foci, and be really, really good at it. Because again, we would have this on top of the expert reroll ones. Well met is something I was looking at earlier. It gives a +1 bonus to reaction rolls to anyone who meets the party, as long as you're present. Even if you're not even talking. So even if you're like in the back, if a monster walks up, you're going to get a +1 on their reaction rolls, which mean even hostile entities are probably going to talk before they are probably going to threaten you before they attack you, unless they're in an ambush or there's some plot reason that they're going to be immediately hostile. If the GM's using random reaction rolls for wandering monsters, this is a really good one to have. So for this character, I think what we're going to do is we are going to take Henchkeeper as our free pick, and then we're going to take Diplomatic Grace as our expert. Now, again, I would want, if this was a character I was going to play in a campaign, I would want to talk to the GM and make sure that my ability to speak all languages in the region would be something that come up. If that's not a thing that I'm going to have to worry about in this campaign, then I would probably take Specialisting. But I like the idea of my charlatan being able to talk to anyone. And if the goblins don't speak common, I want to be able to. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we've added those abilities, our character sheet under our details, and we have added the bonus skills we got from that. Lead to 0, and convince, since we now have convince from both our background and a bonus skill again, it now goes up to 1. We would now roll 2d6, 2. 1 from skill level, and 1 pretty good at that. Now, we get 1 free skill of our choice to reflect our hero's outside interest, natural talents, hobby expertise, or other personal focus. Basically, now we get 1 free skill. Anything we want. If we wanted something in character creation, we didn't get it from our growth tables or whatever, you can just pick. So if you're rolling a barbarian and you manage to not get stab skill, you can pick it up. In our case, I think what I actually want to pick up is sneak, because I think our characters can get themselves into trouble, and sometimes it's good to be able to get yourself out of trouble. So we're gonna put our free pick into sneak, clicking the skill to roll it instead of the edit button. There we go. I did consider Connect as well. I do think Connect is probably something we're going to spend some of our first skill on to play this. But for now, I think picking pockets, disguising ourselves, and avoiding notice. I think that's something our characters should be good at, and kind of goes along with our 16. So I like that. We're not a mage, so we don't need to worry about magic traditions or king spells. Again, maybe I'll do a mage in the future video. Roll maximum hit points. I already did that. We rolled our hit die. It's a d6. We got a 6. We got lucky there. Base attack bonus should be at 0. If we were a warrior or a partial warrior, we would need to increment that number at this point. And now we're going to do equipment. We have a choice between rolling 3d6 times 10 and getting starting silver pieces. to buy our equipment, or we can choose one of the equipment packages to save time. We're going to do the Scholar. We have some tables here, or we have some compendium packages in the Foundry, which will make this easier. So let's see, we get 2 daggers, we get a staff, we get a backpack, lantern, tinderbox, 2 flasks of oil, a writing kit with 20 sheets of paper, 1 week of ration, a water skin, healer's pouch, and 80 silver. Right. In terms of equipment, let us keep the daggers and our staff readied, that as we didn't get any armor from that. So we have our daggers on our belt ready to go. We have our staff in our hand. These are considered readied. Everything else, it will be stowed. We shall mark that on the character like so. Our strength stat allows us to have 3 encumbrance worth of equipment readied, which we have exactly with our 2 daggers and our staff. And we are able to stow up to 7 bits of equipment. It looks like we are over encumbered. A hero can carry a number of stowed items equal to their full strength score, which is 7. The equipment package gave us 10 bits of stuff. So let's see what this means. Stowed items are tucked away in packs, carefully organized in pouches, or otherwise stowed as to be as compact as possible. A hero who wants to use a stowed item needs to spend a main action digging it out before we employ it. That's why we get our weapons ready, so that we do not need to spend main action. Characters can push their limits by carrying more than is comfortable. An extra 2 readied or 4 stowed items can be carried, but this slows them down. Their move action allows them to move only 20 feet instead of 30. Further, 2 readied or 4 stowed items can be carried beyond that, but that slows them down to 15 feet. It's assumed that heroes have sufficient packs, sacks, pockets, pouches, carry all of it, blah, 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 blah. So we are at a level of encumbrance, which is slowing us down to a speed of 20 instead of 30. That's probably fine. If we were going into a dungeon situation or something like that, we might be, or an adventuring situation, we might be able to put some of our stuff down somewhere. If we know we're getting into a fight, we can probably drop the backpack with, the materials. That becomes a problem if we have to run away. But for now, I think that that's probably fine. So we are, though, encumbered. But only a little bit. So I think that's okay. If we were running on a physical character sheet, we would need to mark our total hit bonuses with our weaponry, which is our base attack bonus plus our relevant skill. We do not have any skills, so since we do not have stab or shoot at any level, we'll take a -2. So our character is not someone who should be making attack rolls. If we do, we're going to be rolling at, if we're making a melee attack roll, we're going to have -1 because of our low strength, and then another -2 because we are not skilled with stabbing. This is okay. If our character's gotten into a fight, that's what our henchmen are for. Actually, that's not what our henchmen are for, because we only took Henchkeeper at level 1, but that's what our rest of our party are for. Our job is to negotiate and get us out of trouble, or into trouble. I didn't say that. Record our armor class. We don't have any armor, so our armor class is just 10. And our beginning saving throws. This is all done for us automatically on Foundry. Our saving throws are calculated as such. All saving throws are calculated by using 16 minus your level, so 15 at level 1, and then minus the a relevant attribute. So our save categories are physical, evasion, mental, and luck. Physical saves are against poison, disease, or exhaustion. That's 15 minus the best of your strength or constitution modifiers. So because our strength is -1 and our con is 0, that's 15 minus the better, which is 0, for 50. Evasion saves are to dodge sudden perils, dive away from explosives. So a lot of traps may allow for an evasion save. 15 minus the better of Dex and Intelligence. Both of those are 1, so 14. Mental saves are the best of Wisdom and Charisma. So we get to use Charisma modifier for our mental saves. So even though we have that -1 Wisdom, it's not hurting our mental saves because higher Charisma. And then Luck is just a flat 15 at this level. Why are we subtracting our good attributes? Because how a saving throw works in the system is you want to roll equal or better than it. So if this character needs to make a luck saving throw, we roll a d20, and we want to roll 15 or higher. In this case, I just rolled a 2, so it was not lucky. Lastly, we need a name. And that's the hardest part. And a goal. Name and a goal. Goal is obviously something we would want to talk with our fellow players about. We would need to know the region and what all we have going on, which I'm obviously not going to do now, other than our broad goal of making a lot of money. But in terms of a name, for name, I like Father Micah. I like the sound of that. And last thing would be picking a piece of art. There's a piece of art for a priest that I used in a GURPS campaign. There we go. Now we have a playable character. They are an expert. They are sneaky, conniving, convincing. Not a very good priest, but very good at convincing you that they are. Definitely. This character would be a very useful member of a party as long as that party is intelligent enough to realize that fighting is not always the solution. A negotiative character would be very useful in many parties. So, with that, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this far. If this character creation has interested you at all, and you have any interest in the system, first I would recommend checking out Pack Tactics on YouTube. It has a whole video series talking about the system. It's quite good, and if you're interested and want to learn more about the rules and how the game plays, I strongly recommend out. Not that a channel as big as them needs me shouting them out. But if you want to play this system, I am starting a new campaign of it very soon. It's going to play on Friday evenings, 9 p.m. my time. It's EST. And if you are interested in playing this system, rolling up a character, and joining me in my new campaign, it is called Valley of the Lion Queen on Start Playing. I have 2 players signed up right now. A third one told me they were going to and just hasn't actually signed up yet, Marilyn. And so I'm really just looking for at least one more player to make sure that I have a party of 4. And so please check it out. Links will be in the description. Regardless, I'll take you over to the end of... Thank you all for watching. Please check out all of my links here. You can join my Discord, where we can come and hang out and talk RPGs. Follow me on my social medias. I've got a Twitter, and I've got a Blue Sky. I prefer Blue Sky, but, you know, more people still on Twitter. I don't know why. And of course, come check me out on Start Playing if you want to play a game with me. And if this isn't a game you want to play, hit me up on there and ask me to let you know when I'm starting a GURPS game or anything else. Because I'm always starting new stuff. Things end, new things begin. A constant cycle. If you're watching this far in the future, check out what I'm running now. I don't know. I can't see future. And of course, you can check out my other YouTube channel, where there's VODs of my old streaming content. I'm currently kind of backing away from streaming, but there's also just recently released a actual play, Secret of the Black Crag. The first session is out, and that is a actual play using the old school Essentials system, playing the game, or playing the module Secret of the Black Crag. A lot of fun. Thank you for watching. Have a nice night.